So here's the deal. Companies are throwing a ton of money at AI coding tools like GitHub Copilot. We're talking millions. But then the board asks, hey, what's the ROI on this? And crickets. How do you actually prove these super expensive new tools are worth the cash?
And this quote from a real VP of engineering just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? The developers, they love the tools. Everybody feels like they're moving faster, like they're more productive. But feelings, well, feelings aren't data. This is the big mystery that engineering leaders everywhere are trying to solve.
I mean, this is the question being asked in boardrooms right now. If we're going to invest this much money in AI, where's the tangible, measurable return on that investment? And you know what? It's a surprisingly tough question to answer.
And look, answering this is about way more than just justifying a software license. It's about really understanding if this massive technological shift is actually moving the needle on what matters most to the business.
But, before they found the answer, the team behind this whole TDPI thing, they had to figure out what doesn't work first. Their journey started by chasing a few metrics that seemed logical at first, but turned out to be, well, pretty flawed.
Okay, so attempt number 1. The most obvious place to start, right? Let's just measure pull request cycle time. The logic seems solid. If AI helps developers code faster, then pull requests should get reviewed and closed way faster. Seems like the perfect way to measure speed.
But here's where it gets really interesting. This is the harsh reality check. The theory actually worked. Cycle time dropped by a whopping 40%. Fantastic. But take a look at the right side of the screen. The bug backlog doubled. They were moving fast all right and breaking things just as fast. The lesson was crystal clear. Speed without the right context is just a faster way to create problems.
All right, so speed by itself is a trap. What's next? Well, the next attempt was to focus on the tool's adoption. Maybe we can connect how much people are using the AI with the team's output.
And yep, once again, the reality just didn't line up with the theory. The data showed only a really weak, noisy correlation. And why is that? Well, think about it. Some developers were using AI like crazy for simple stuff, like boilerplate code, but we're still getting bogged down on the big, complex architectural problems. It turns out tracking activity is not the same as tracking progress. They had to measure actual outcomes.
Okay, so they've struck out twice with the hard data. What's the next logical step? They switched gears completely and decided to just ask the people who are actually using the tools every single day. Surely, the developers would know if AI was really making a difference.
And hey, the developers were thrilled. They genuinely felt way more productive. But here's the final crucial lesson from this phase. Feelings don't satisfy a CFO. If you want to justify a 6-figure line item on the budget, you need more than just good vibes and anecdotes. You need cold, hard numbers.
So after hitting all these dead ends, they finally had a breakthrough. And it came from just reframing the whole problem. Instead of looking for that one single perfect number, they asked, what are the 4 things a leader really needs to know? Are we faster? Are we shipping valuable stuff? Is our quality holding up? And can I actually trust our plan?
First up, we have speed. And yeah, you're seeing that right. Pull request cycle time is back. But this time, it's not the whole story. It's just one piece of a much bigger, more balanced equation, and it's kept in check by the other 3 pillars.
Pillar number 2, and honestly, this might be the most important one of all, value. This is the antidote to being busy, but not actually being productive. Are we shipping the big, meaningful features, the stuff we call epics, or are we just spinning our wheels on tiny tasks? This pillar makes sure that all that extra speed is being pointed at work that actually matters.
Next, we've got quality. You can think of this as the essential guardrail. It's asking the question, are we just creating a huge mess for our future selves to clean up? By measuring defects per unit of work, it makes sure that speed doesn't come at the expense of a stable, reliable product. And finally, the 4th pillar, predictability. This one is all about trust. Does the team actually deliver what they say they're going to deliver? It measures how well the team can make and meet its commitments, which, as you know, is absolutely fundamental to running a business.
Okay, so we've got our 4 pillars: speed, value, quality, and predictability. Awesome. But how in the world do you mash all that together into one single useful score?
Well, just take a look at these raw numbers for one team, before and after AI. You can clearly see things are getting better across the board. But here's the problem.
Comparing a team working on some ancient, complex legacy system to a team working on a brand new microservice, it's like comparing apples and oranges. A raw score would be totally meaningless.
And that right there brings us to the secret sauce of this whole system, normalization. The big idea is to stop comparing teams to each other. It's just not fair. Instead, you compare each team to its own past performance. You're measuring where they are now against their own worst historical period, which creates a totally unique and fair baseline for every single team.
The process itself is actually pretty straightforward. First, you normalize each of those 4 pillar scores against that team's historical worst, so their starting line is a 1.0. Then, you apply some strategic weights. Maybe this quarter you care a lot more about shipping value than pure speed. Then, you just add those weighted scores together, and boom, you've got a single, unified TDPI score.
And look, the whole point of this TDPI score is that it's not just another number to stick on a dashboard and forget about. It's a diagnostic tool. It's designed to spark conversations, to drive experiments, and ultimately to lead to real, measurable improvements.
And the proof? Well, it's right here in the numbers. After tracking this for 12 months, the results are just incredible. Speed improved by 68%, quality by 52%, both great, but the real showstopper here is value. With an absolutely massive 140% increase, the teams weren't just faster, they were shipping more than double the amount of meaningful work.
And this quote really tells the story behind that incredible number. The biggest win wasn't just about raw coding speed. What happened was that AI automated all that tedious, boring grunt work. And that freed up the senior developers to focus their brainpower on the complex, high-impact features that deliver real value to customers.
So what this all leads to is the real bottom-line insight of this entire framework. It really forces a fundamental shift in how we even think about engineering productivity.
And this right here is the key thing to take away from all of this. A framework like the TDPI doesn't just measure the impact of a new tool. It elevates the entire conversation from are our tools efficient to is our team effective. By balancing speed with value, quality, and predictability, it makes sure that your technology is serving your strategy and not the other way around. So the real question isn't, is AI working? It's, are we working on what matters?